All right, hombres, we are back, and we have one of the most exciting free-to-play units that we've ever gotten in this game's lifespan. We have Arion here, who is way better than anyone ever expected he would end up being. I'm not even joking when I say he's definitely the best Grand Hero Battle unit, period. So, if you were on the fence thinking about whether or not you want to build this guy, the answer is yes. Like, yes, you want to build this guy. There's only one other unit that does what he does, and obviously we're going to do a little comparison between the two. But what kills me is that you could even make the case that this guy is better than Legendary Hinoka, which is nasty as hell because Legendary Hinoka was already one of the best units in the game. So I'm just like flabbergasted that this was a free-to-play unit. Okay, so we'll start by taking a look at his stat line here. We've got 41 HP. We got 45 attack, we have 36 speed, we've got 46 defense, and then 21 res. So that gives him an overall BST of 189, if I'm not mistaken. And he does have a perf weapon as well, and he does have a super boon on defense, which we can go ahead and show right there. Let's also load up his base kit too, just because. So, as we see, he's got the super boon on defense. His weapon's giving him raw 3 defense for free, and then he does have the perf weapon. So he scores in a pretty good bin. He ends up scoring just as high as Lumera and also Fallen Linus and those guys. So that's a pretty good scoring tier for Arena. And being a flying type unit that you could run in Arena, that means he can run Soaring Guidance as well, and Guidance 4. So he's just an amazing unit to run everywhere. You can run him really well in Summoner Duels, in Aether Raids, in Arena. He scores good enough. He offers the flyer support. Like, this dude is a monster, man. I don't even know, like... we should be thanking the lucky stars that they had enough pity to actually give us something good for once. Okay, so his base kit, Air Gungnir, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what that does right here. Also, let's just quickly take a look at his art, which is pretty nice also. He's got that Jugdral drip, just like all the other men from Jugdral. I love it so much. I love Castlevania, and like all the men in Castlevania are well-dressed like this. They look like they're going out to a freaking ballroom party as opposed to going to kick Dracula's ass, right? So, like, this is what I like. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look down here now at his weapon. So, Neutralize is effective against flying. It's got built-in IO shield. He gets a free defense up 3, like I mentioned earlier. And then also, at the start of turn, if his HP is over 25%, he gets attack and defense up 6, and charge to himself and flying allies within 2 spaces for 1 turn. So he's granting charge as a status effect support, which is insane. Obviously, that's one of the reasons why Hinoka is as good as she is. So when you're able to just give charge to the entire team like this, if you're running a full-on flyer team, this becomes so powerful. Yeah, just like being able to move unmitigated, not being stopped by trench tiles or forest tiles or whatever, because flyers obviously just move right over all that stuff. This is so good. Like, this is just nuts. And then also attack and defense up 6 as blue bonuses at the start of the turn. Hinoka does not do that. She grants something else, which is the special acceleration on hit. And that is one little edge to Hinoka, because it's kind of hard for flyers to get special acceleration. So I would say Hinoka does have that one advantage. I would rather have something like that over the blue bonus to attack and defense. But it's still a very nice support to be getting. And then also, at the start of combat, if his HP is over 25%, he's getting all stats up 5. He makes a guaranteed follow-up, which is really good because it can help him break through wary fighter effects and then get a natural double. So, because it's hard to get no follow-up on him without outside sources, you can just go ahead and do this, and he should be able to get a speed check double on a lot of the slow units in the game. And then he's also dealing bonus damage based on 15% of his defense, except when he's doing AoEs. So, like, regular attacks would be able to do this, and regular specials. So, just a very, very strong weapon. It's got support, it's got combat potential for himself, and it's just amazing. It's also granting him a lot of bulk with the IO shield and defense up 3. So, just a phenomenal unit from head to toe. Like, every single aspect about him, he can pull off just about anything he wants. Now, of course, the comparison with Hinoka is obvious because Hinoka does the exact same thing as him. She's granting charge to allies in 2 spaces that are flying types, and then she also grants special acceleration on hit, which is better, as I said earlier, than the attack and defense up 6. But there is one huge, massive advantage that this guy has over Hinoka, and it's the fact that his C skill is open. Whereas Hinoka has to run Rallying Cry to be able to give charge and the acceleration support. This guy doesn't care. He can run whatever he wants in the C skill. So that means Soaring Guidance and Guidance 4 are easily going to be options for him, and that's exactly what he wants to do. Also, unlike Hinoka, he's not a glass cannon. You can build him primarily towards defense and have him just tank all the melee opponents. He's also a lance unit too, so he has color advantage against God Swords, which is insane to me. We rarely ever get good lance units. Summer Shez was like the one exception. But now we got this guy who's just a better version of Summer Shez. So yeah, this is amazing. This is fantastic. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at some builds now. So we're going to start things off with an arena build. You can run this in arena because, like I said, he scores more than good enough for that mode. So the idea here would just to be supporting allies with charge and attacking defense up 6 if you have another flying ally on the team. There are a couple of flying units we can run in arena that score high enough. But the main reason is being able to have Guidance 4. So all your other really high-scoring arena options, like, for example, your legendary heroes, if you got, like, legendary Tiki or legendary Hector or whoever armored hero you've got, you're going to be able to move them a lot better. There's also Brave Corin. If you plus 10'd her, she is the highest-scoring unit in the game at the moment. So if you wanted her to be able to move a lot better, then this would help there. Also, your other units, too, like from the Grail shop, so Vigard and Murdoch, they score really high. They are the highest-scoring free-to-play units besides Cyril, and being able to jump them around with Guidance 4 is insanely effective. We also have Gambit 4 on this build. His weapon works out so perfectly with Gambit 4. It's giving him 15 points of true damage and also 50% flat DR on every hit that he takes, because his weapon does not have a Brave Attack or -1 special trigger. So you combo all that with Gambit 4, and then we're free to run Ether or Miracle, whichever one you choose. But since this is an arena build, we're going for Ether because it scores good. And then finally, we got Sturdy Stance for the A skill to inflict guard on the enemies and just gain some more attack and defense. The extra defense helps him with his weapon because he's gaining 15% true damage based on his defense. So that is just a very good combo, and we do want to have guard on this guy. And then finally, attacking defense form 3 to round out the build. You could also give him like aerobatics if you want him to jump in and then extend the reach that your allies could guidance in with. So that could be another option for arena, but attacking defense form, just stacking attack and defense makes the most sense. So that would be an arena build. This would be an Aether Raids offense build, but it's a little bit tricky here because, as I said earlier, it's tough to get special acceleration on hit on these flyers. He also lacks -1 special trigger, and another bad side to him is that he can't really get tempo. So you put all those things together, and he's not a very consistent Gale Forcer, but the fact that he's enabling your other flyers to help with the Gale Force strats, like Gulveig, for example, Brave Gulveig is very easily capable of shutting down entire enemy teams by herself with charge support. So just being able to support your Gulveig in any season, not just fire season like Hinoka does, is another huge advantage to this guy. He's not season locked like Hinoka, so that's really good. We got Flared Sparrow on this build because after you attack and then you set up the flame tiles, it can be really tough for the enemy's ranged units to chase after you. So very good stuff for Aether Raids offense. You can create a little blockade there to make it easier for your units to hit and run. We got attack and defense near trace here. I was going back and forth between this and flow and trace, but I think this is probably a little better. You're getting a couple more stats out of there, so that can help us with Heavy Blade, which we have to run to get the acceleration. And also, you're just getting Kanto Rem +1. Whereas near trace, flow near trace would have given you Kanto Rem +1 and then nullify Wary Fighter effects, which it can help. It has some uses on certain enemies that are doing like specific effects, but for the most part, the guaranteed follow-up he has on weapon is enough to break Wary Fighter and then get a speed check double on really slow stuff. So there are some issues trying to Gale Force with this guy, as I said. Like, he lacks guard, or he lacks piercing of enemy guard. He also lacks easy special acceleration without Heavy Blade, which is kind of a bad seal to be running, honestly. But we have to run it here because it's the only way to get it. He doesn't have -1 special trigger, so you're going to have to get a little creative with what kind of units you want to run on the team. Asker would be a good idea, so like in Light Season, you have Asker there to give him at least 1 turn of Pulse Effect, so that would bring Gale Force down to a 4-hit cooldown. And there's other ways too. There's like Valoria, who can ally support him to get -2, and such, etc., etc. So just get very creative with it. I know it's tough to actually, like, efficiently Gale Force with him, but because he's granting charge to himself and allies, it can work for sure. There's a lot of flying offensive mythic heroes that are good for Gale Force, like Thor, for example. Thor would also be able to give him World Breaker support, which could be nice for Astra Season. Also, the 2 offensive flyers for Anima and Astra Season happen to be, or Astra and Light Season happen to be flyers too. So Peony and Plumeria are both units you would want to run on a Gale Force team because they can dance, and then they're getting warping support with Soaring Guidance from him, so that could be very helpful. Then there's also like Air on Light Season, who you can also run for player phasing. You can Air Force with her. She has access to Disarm Trap 4, which can be nice to like get some of your units in or attack and then like not care about having traps in the way. So there's a lot of things you can do. Flyer support is very good for ARO because flyers are just very good in that mode. And then finally, we have a more Summoner Duels focused build here. This one is like all built to just survive what the enemies are doing. So we have Mystic Boost on this build to provide a little bit of sustain here. He doesn't really have any good ways to get sustain outside of this. So with Mystic Boost, we do that, and then we also turn off enemies with adaptive damage. So they're not going to be able to target his one weakness, which is res. They have to go after his defense. This would be good against a unit like Brave Robin, who can warp in and then try to blow you up with a Bonfire or an Ignis. But then you just wag your finger at him and be like, not so fast, Robin. And then you just teabag all over him with that 58 defense that he's not able to do adaptive damage on. Then we also have Escutcheon on this build. You would need to get like special acceleration on hit somewhere as support on him, or have like Duo Asker on the team to get this pre-charge. But the non-pierceable DR is very helpful for him because all his other sources of DR, like Gambit 4 and Guard Bearing, would be pierceable effects of DR. We're running Guard Bearing on this build because we can't do Gambit if we're going for Escutcheon, because it doesn't play nice with low-cost specials, so we got to go for Guard Bearing here. Once again, we have Sturdy Stance to inflict guard on enemies and get attack and defense. And then Guidance 4, the combo with Guidance 4 and like drawback on this guy is nuts. So he can jump in, he can like draw back an armored unit or an offensive unit and then move them both up one space. That's extending the reach they can jump in with Guidance 4. And then Guidance 4 giving jump support to armor type units like, for example, Brave Corrin, who can warp in and protect him with Far Save. And then he's good to go in the near save matchups. He's really tough to beat with physical attacks. And then you're turning off adaptive damage, so Robin and like Hexblade stuff can't mess with him. And then you're also getting the Dragon Vein Stones there from Corrin, so you're now getting defense and res up 6 in combat. You take 10 less damage from special attacks and also 50% less damage from AoEs. It's just a nutty combo. This guy with Brave Corrin is going to be like the sauce, essentially. That's what you want to go for. So just a very awesome stuff from this guy. Now finally, we're going to take a look at some other skills that you can run on him that I didn't mention on any of these builds. We're going to start with Attack and Speed Prime 4. It's not hard to get a lot of active bonuses on him. He starts by giving him charge already on his weapon, and you could easily give him Attack and Speed Oath 4 or Attack and Res Oath 4 to get Warping in the C skill, if you wanted to. So that could be another way you could just easily get 2 bonuses. His speed isn't like really a dump, to be honest. Like, it's not the craziest, but it's not a dump. And especially when you'd be getting attack and speed up 9 from Prime 4. So, like, it could actually work out, kind of, depending on, like, what other skills you give him to, like, raise his speed. So, Prime 4 is definitely an option here. Close Defense 4 as well. You can neutralize the enemy's bonuses to basically all their stats. So, if they're running, like, Bonus Doubler and shenanigans like that, you can just give them the middle finger. And you're still getting Defense and Res up 8 in melee combats. So, that would be really good there. Seal Attack is nice if you want to get Guard in a different slot than the A skill. Like, if you want to run Prime 4 on him, but you still want to get Guard, you can run something like this. So, it does a massive debuff to attack, and then you also inflict Guard, so very helpful for a tanky unit like him. We also have Attack and Defense Unity as an option if you want to support him with Legendary Robin to get the Grand Strategy support there. So, you're easily going to debuff his attack and defense, and then he's just going through the roof with how much attack and defense he can stack when he's got Grand Strategy up. Also, Attack and Defense Clash could be an option too if you want to nullify your penalties to attack and defense and then gain sky-high amounts of attack and defense, like potentially, what, +9 this thing does, or like +10? depending on how many spaces he or the ally or he or the enemy moves before attacking. Could be pretty good stuff here. Oh, what is this? Okay, I pulled up a dummy tab there. My bad. All right, also, hold skills are really nice on him. Obviously, like, if you're running a bunch of flyers and everyone on the team has hold skills, they really start to pile on because everyone is taking advantage of this. Like, if you've got multiple units close by to an enemy and they all have hold skills, you're doing so many debuffs to the enemy's stats at that point that it's very easy to do whatever you want to them. So, holds are very good on flyers, and especially no exception to this guy. It can also help him win the check for Heavy Blade if you want to do that, instead of giving him like Guidance 4 or Soaring Guidance on the Gale Force build. But that's completely up to you. Oath 4, like I mentioned earlier, gives him another status effect, so he can warp to allies, and then it's also giving him Drive, Attack and Speed up 3, and a blue bonus to Attack and Speed. The speed bonus would help because his weapon does attack and defense, so now you just get attack, defense, and speed up 6. So that would be nice, and another status effect for Prime 4 there. And then finally, I had to throw this in here. I didn't want to put this on any of his builds because Rez, while it helps him against like dragon opponents, it doesn't really help him too much, depending on like how you're playing him. If you got like far save support to deal with the range threats and stuff like that. So I didn't want to mention this, but whenever we get fire earth boost that gives him HP up 5, and then it gives him attack and defense up 7, and it inflicts guards on the opponents, and it's dual phase as long as you're over 50% health. That would be way better than Sturdy Stance 3, because the level 3 gold border boost skills are just better than the stance skills, because they're dual phase, and they also give you HP up 5 and 1 more points of stat. This is only defense and attack up 6 and inflicting guard. Whereas Fire Earth Boost would be HP up 5, Attack Defense 7, and Inflicting Guard on dual phase. So those would be better, but we don't have access to that skill just yet, so I had to bring this up just to raise awareness to you guys about that. So that's going to wrap us up for the builds video for Arion. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and how excited are you to be getting such an amazing Grand Hero Battle unit. I know I'm, like, just so happy that now, like, if you're free to play and you didn't have Hinoka, you can still do all of the nonsense. So they really held it down this time. It's rare that they actually do that. So very nice. This is your boy Tacho signing out. Take care, fellas, and I'll catch y'all again on the flip side.